It took me 14 months of posting 3 times a day for a post to go viral. It took me 14 months to get to 30,000 followers. Within the next month, I was at 100,000 followers.
I just add to lean into the mindset of giving unlimited value for free.
But that's hard.
I know, I didn't say it was easy.
That takes time, that takes effort. If you don't know who I am, my name is Shanee Moret. I'm the founder of growthacademy.global, and I have about 1 million followers on LinkedIn, and I'm growing on YouTube. Shankar, go ahead.
My name is Shanker PONCELET. I have experience in the healthcare marketing field, crypto, decentralized finance.
Kizzy, go ahead.
My name is Kizzy Parks. I'm the founder of KPC, GovCon Winners, and several joint ventures. And my goal is just to help you learn how to find, bid, and win profitable federal government contracts, no matter what you do, where you're located.
And Kizzy has almost 100,000 subs on YouTube. She's being humble right now.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm so excited.
Hey, Cliff, what's your question?
Hi, thank you very much for having me. My question is, I've been on LinkedIn for very many years. And so a lot of my connections, I've got 17,000, but they're all very old and probably inactive. I'm starting a cyber IT business. And I was just wondering, because I've got so many dead connections, would it be a good strategy to just start a new account and start again with more active people on LinkedIn?
So let me ask you a question in return. How do you know that they're dead? Is it just because they don't engage or what?
I do get the engagement. I get views of around 5,000 to 10,000 per post, but I've got 17,000 connections. And so it's an assumption based on the amount of time I've been on LinkedIn.
Okay, so let's test that assumption. And this is what I would do if I were you. The first thing that I would do is to launch a LinkedIn newsletter. And the reason why that will show you how many people are not active versus not engaging is that because the invite to subscribe to your LinkedIn newsletter will go out to all 17,000 people. So if you launch a LinkedIn newsletter, it's going to go to 17,000 people. If 3,000 to 4,000 subscribe within the first week, then you definitely don't have a quote unquote dead network. Even with the impressions that you're telling me, you don't have a dead network, so to speak. So I would definitely not start over, because the fact that you have 17,000 followers on LinkedIn gives you a massive advantage. The only thing that needs to happen is to see what the baseline is of people that are actually active, which can happen through the newsletter, and then to start reactivating your audience through content that is strategic and consistent over 90 days at least. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. The LinkedIn newsletter is a fabulous idea. I think I will follow up on that one and see where it goes from there. Thank you very much.
Awesome. You're welcome. All right. And then Galaxy.
First of all, congratulations and thank you so much for conducting this such a beautiful event. And I am from a human resource background and I'm into business also. I need to understand, if I want to expand my business in States, US, what kind of campaign I need to run through LinkedIn?
I'm going to let Kizzy answer this question because she comes from your world.
First and foremost, it's about putting out helpful information that would not only speak to your audience, to an HR audience in the States, but also to the employees who would work for these type of companies. The putting out the content is really vital. For instance, you're not even thinking about federal government contracting right now. It's still key because anybody can be a government contractor no matter where you live in the world. You do not have to be a U.S. citizen, resident, or anything of that nature. I would begin by identifying who's the potential client, what kind of content could you put out? Whatever content you put out, it's incorporating your voice, your spin, your personality, because each of us are unique. And so I think it's vital to do that. And also, I would say, in addition to LinkedIn, why not pursue a potential YouTube channel? Because it's really been game changing. You don't have to have 1 million followers. You don't have to go the big bang entertainment route like a Mr. Beast. It just boils down to you providing value and sticking with it, because most don't. And that's another approach I would pursue.
I love that answer, Kizzy. And for everyone listening, Kizzy told me for a month, Shanee, you have to do YouTube. So I'm like, fine. And it was definitely worth it. And we don't have the biggest channel yet. We have 6,000 subscribers, and it has converted a lot more than we expected. So we'll definitely be putting attention there. But I think that when you look at LinkedIn and YouTube together, people really underestimate the power of them being used together. And I'll explain why. The number one thing, Ghazi, that I'd say is to have a LinkedIn newsletter that is distributed towards your direct clients. So the people paying you, like, I don't know if it's the HR executives, and then you could have a second newsletter where it's to their team. So the messaging is split. And what you could do is you could get into the cadence, and this is what we do with our clients, where we train them up to the point where they're doing a very high quality LinkedIn Live per week. And then that could be repurposed for something like YouTube, so that you're working smarter and not working harder. And you're doing a two-pronged approach with YouTube search and LinkedIn search, because LinkedIn newsletters are very easy to rank because of the domain authority that LinkedIn has had since the collaborative articles. And that would be my advice.
Hello. I have 7 years of experience as a ghostwriter in the IT field. What kind of content should I post on LinkedIn that guarantees virality? Because I've been posting good content, but no posts are getting likes or going viral, but they have value.
Anyone that will tell you a post is guaranteed to go viral doesn't really understand what they're doing, because you could have the most perfect post in the world, but if somebody that's super famous, something happens to them today, or some breaking tragic news happens, a lot of that attention is not going to go to your post. Or let's say that a competitor of yours just happens to post 20 minutes before you and their post is amazing. There's a lot of things outside of your control. So what I would do if I were you is I would just make sure that month after month, your posts get more engagement and impressions. It's more of a you versus you game versus a you versus everyone game. It took me 14 months of posting 3 times a day for a post to go viral for me. It took me 14 months to get to 30,000 followers. Within the next month, I was at 100,000 followers. And the one thing I did that most people don't do is I pretended it didn't happen, and I continued to post 3 times a day, as if it was just a regular day. And then that accelerated my growth. So it's a matter of time, it's a matter of patience, and it's a matter of how can I create the best content possible so that the people that I'm creating content for can get a result without ever even having to pay me.
One aspect that I often see with copywriters is most of you are very focused on writing for SEO, which is what a lot of your clients want. And what I see is that you adopt the same writing style, but on LinkedIn, you have to also consider not just the machines, the crawlers, but also the humans behind it. So there's a little bit more of a different approach so that we can see who is that human behind the content and not just the technical writing skills. And then people can start building a relationship with you, and then conversations start to happen.
Kizzy, you want to add anything?
I just add to lean into the mindset of giving unlimited value for free. Like, just don't forget about that. Keep your audience in mind.
But that's hard.
I know. I didn't say it was easy.
That takes time. That takes effort.
I know, but it pays off because people want more, and then they'll think, goodness, if you're doing all this for free, then what happens when I pay you? But also it's bigger than that. It's you're giving, you're changing people's lives without them having to do anything, but just to take their valuable time to look at your content.
And I think there's a huge difference between someone that just gives out information and someone that gives you steps where you could actually go do the thing. So for me, the number one indicator that my content is good is when people message me, hey, it's because of you I launched my newsletter. It's because of you I started posting video. Because what that tells me is that they didn't just watch my stuff. They actually went and did something with the information. And I think that's powerful because that's how you could transform lives at scale and have people take action at scale. All right, Steve, what's up?
I want to thank you guys, both you and Shankar, for your information. And you actually taught me a little nugget about the newsletters, which really blew my mind about the power of SEO.
Mm-hmm.
I have just two questions. Obviously, this is an audio.
Yeah.
And I know you've been focusing more on audio, and I'm just curious why. Is it because you're able to get an active audience quickly? I'm curious some details around that. And then the second follow-up, is there a time of day, whether you're doing your live or an audio, or even just content that is better suited?
Both great questions. So I'm doing audio because I love to answer questions. If I see a repeat pattern in the questions, they allow me to get inspiration for ideas. And sometimes I just do it for fun as well. When I go into an audio room, it's mainly just to answer questions, have fun. When I go into LinkedIn Live video, it's really to give the best possible formula for someone to go run with, take action, and get a result. And I think that both forms of learning are important. And I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I was reading with my daughter. She was reading Nancy Drew diaries, and it's just a little bit ahead of her reading ability. So it's a little bit challenging, maybe one word each sentence I have to help her with. She knows how to read from her school and from her tutors. But then I read a page, and I brought the drama. The laptop was under the sweater, and Brady wasn't in the room. And then the next page that she read, she brought that drama, only because she had seen me evoke that emotion into the reading. And so sometimes we need to hear and see what other people are doing and asking to maybe ask ourselves, are we even asking ourselves the right questions? The second question is, what time works best? When I'm working with a client, we'll test different times because it really depends on who's in their network now and also who their ideal audience is. So if they're in Dubai, but they want to start breaking into the American market, I would advise maybe a different time than they're in Dubai and they only serve the Dubai market. So the real answer is you have to test a few times and see. I like to go live in the morning because I've tested a lot of times. And if I go live past 11, my audience wants nothing to do with it.
And just maybe one follow-up about, I think Kizzy mentioned about just sharing good content. Would you also recommend sharing some of your best stuff?
Yeah, I would. I posted a newsletter today, 90-day content strategy. That's pretty much what we run through with clients. It's just that we guide people, we hold their hands. There's a lot of context and nuance to situations, a lot of skill development that's more personally guided. But I think that giving your best stuff in these times is what will help you stand out more than anything. The more you gatekeep, the more you just put yourself at risk for a competitor coming and just destroying your content. And you won't really build a community that way. I'll let Kizzy and Shankar share their thoughts.
Yeah, I'm all about putting my highest value content out all of the time. And sometimes what I'll even do is if I see that somebody else is selling something in particular that I know my audience would love, I'll just put it out for free. It's just how I am. I just have this abundance mindset. So I just put it all out there on all types of platforms. So those are my thoughts.
Regarding lives, it's often good to do what most people don't do. And when it's a little scary for you, then it's a good idea to do it. And then number two, about the great content, I have seen that we can give the best content and give everything for free. But what you will find is that most people, you can put them the best thing in front of their noses and they still won't apply it. So you might as well show your best version of your business to the world, because then that will attract those who say, I either don't have time to do it on my own, I want guidance, or I just want you to do it for me. And you have just proven to me that you are an absolute expert in your field.
Yeah, I could tell you that every single time I'm sitting with a new one-on-one client, they all tell me the same thing. They're like, it's what you said in the challenge, or it's what you said in this video and how you said it. And that's usually our best stuff, giving everything away. It's just that they want a guide along the way. Olga, What's your question?
Hi, it's nice to talk to you. Anyway, my question is, I'm doing my first live today, and I'm doing this through StreamYard.
Okay.
And I've never done it. I usually do Zoom meetings and podcasts and everything. Are there any pros and cons between doing lives with Zoom versus StreamYard? Any amazing advantages?
This is a great question because I just had this experience with a client, and I actually have a YouTube video. I was just talking about it with Kizzy coming out, where I show how to go live on LinkedIn in 4 different ways, which is through Zoom, StreamYard, Restream, and Riverside. So it's coming. But the biggest advantage that I'd say with StreamYard is its user friendliness, because with Zoom, you could only connect it to the LinkedIn Live 10 to 15 minutes before you actually go live. So there's just a lot of room for a little bit of stress, a little bit of error. On the StreamYard side, you can connect it weeks and weeks in advance, and then all you have to do is click Enter Studio for that specific event and click Live. So there's a lot less room for error, especially for someone like me that's not a tech genie and doesn't want to even think about what I have to do tech-wise 10 minutes beforehand. And I'll let Shankar also talk about this.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And then also, StreamYard does give you a little bit more freedom in having some decisions on layout, where you place people, if you have 1 or 2 people, and also can put people in backstage and they're still there. It's just a little bit easier to do everything. And you'll find that it reminds you a lot of Zoom. It's really just a different UX, but it's a great choice to use the tool. And then I don't know if you mentioned, Shanee, but on the paid version of StreamYard, you have your recordings of your live streams, which is extremely helpful for repurposing.
And if you up level, once you get a fancier camera on Zoom, it will limit the pixels. So I think you can't record past 720. That may be wrong, but I know you can't record past a certain pixel. And then on StreamYard, you can. But for me, the biggest thing is just limiting the potential of risk, because for a live video, you could have 2 to 3 weeks of marketing efforts into it. And then what's going to happen when that goes to waste?
So StreamYard there's less room for error there. So with free account, because right now I have a StreamYard free account, I cannot record and keep the recording. So I have to pay for the account to actually record my videos, correct?
Yes. And same with Zoom, I believe. You're going to have to pay, but there's a video, Shankar has a YouTube video on how to connect it to the Zoom. It's just, I don't like to feel that stress. I already feel stressed when I go live to this day.
And I have one more question. So with inviting people, I made a mistake and I started a live event. I organized a live event for my profile.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't able to have the registration form. If I want to do the registration form to stream all the contacts to register, I have to do it from a company's page, correct? Not my profile.
Yes, that's correct. But it's okay. When I work with clients, we do it on their personal first, because the main thing that you're looking for is how many people clicked attend. Because that also gives a good baseline of, let's say you have 500 connections, then if 100 or 50 accept, that means that you have a pretty active network. And just because you have a smaller network does not mean that your lives can't have quite a few people on there. We have clients with 500 followers that they have 44 people on their lives. So then it's how many people are on the live when it goes live, and then how many people stay on the live. And then the ultimate metric is going to obviously be, did anyone book a call? Did anyone DM me based on your call to action? Did anyone take action on the live? And then within 72 hours of the replay of the live. And then it's just a iteration and testing from there, week after week.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Good luck. Faith.
Hi, thanks, Shanee. Hello, everyone. So I've started a new company in Nairobi. It's a tour company, and I'm focusing on arranging tours for tourists. So I'm wondering on how I can be able to market the same on LinkedIn. I'm very green on this sector. So if you can advise me on how to go about it and convert maybe the likes, followers into conversions.
Yeah. So who's buying these tours? Is it a person that has a group, or is it the individuals themselves?
I'm focusing on both, looking to market to either individuals, companies, different sectors.
Okay, so have you done this type of business before? And do you have any type of data to show you, okay, this type of person versus this type of person will be our buyer? Or are you just starting completely from scratch?
I would say I have a database, but basically this is a local one. I have a database for Kenyan travelers, but now I'm looking forward to open horizons to other countries.
Okay. And is there another traveling company in your area that does the same thing that's extremely successful with foreign travelers?
Yes, there are quite a number of successful tour companies operating on the same. So I'm looking to focus on marketing on LinkedIn and other maybe social media platforms and see how it can work for me.
The reason why I'm asking is because if I were you, I would try to reverse engineer and see who they're selling to with the least resistance that's foreign. So if I were in your position, I'd look at the top 3 companies that sell to foreign tourists, and through their messaging, through their call to action, through what they're doing on social media, you should be able to see what type of buyer that they target. And that's usually evidence that type of buyer is really great for that type of business. And then it's just a matter of how can I create content that's 10 times better that will get this buyer's attention? Does that make sense?
Okay, it does. Thank you so much.
And then I'll let Shankar and Kizzy chime in.
Yeah, I think you probably have an amazing opportunity to create beautiful content from your country. And I would guess that a lot of your competitors on this platform don't do that to that extent. So if you let your target audience see why you as a tour operator think of them as well, maybe if it is a professional audience, corporate tours, you also show the ease of meeting rooms, internet connected, that kind of thing. So just really take advantage of what I suspect is the content that is not just quite as developed yet, especially in the video segment.
And on Shankar's point, people love animals and food. I know a podcaster that he owns a private zoo, and they launched an Instagram account where it's just his exotic zoo animals. And that Instagram account is generating millions and millions of views a month because of the animals. And obviously that generates traction for the business, for his podcast. So just look at what model works and then look at how you can make it 10 times better and innovate.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Ileana.
Hey, good morning, you guys. Thank you so much for hosting this great informational Q&A. My question is, can you tell me a little bit more about getting invitations to write articles on LinkedIn?
Is your question, what do you do when you get those invitations? Or is your question, how do you get those invitations?
More of the benefits. What is the benefits of contributing?
Number one, the benefit is that when you see those invites, hey, please contribute to this collaborative article. That's what they call them. Please contribute your expertise. The opportunity that you have there is that you can earn the community top voice badge on your profile, which is the gold badge that you see on people's profile. If you click on my profile, you'll see the gold badge, and I'm sure Shankar and Kizzy as well. But to get that gold badge, you have to become the top contributor in at least 3 of the different questions within one skill. And I want to backtrack a little bit because the reason why your LinkedIn newsletters have high probability of ranking on Google and Bing is because of that feature. And it wasn't possible before last July. So if you go to Google Analytics and they have a whole chart, and you could see where LinkedIn's domain authority in July of 2023 literally hockey stick and skyrocketed. And that's because there's so much user-generated content through these collaborative articles, which means that AI and the users are basically publishing thousands of blogs together every single day. Because of that, when your LinkedIn newsletter is published on LinkedIn's domain, the authority has also skyrocketed, and your newsletter has a great chance of going to the top. That's what you can earn when you contribute to those articles. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Thank you so much.
I wanted to ask a question around having 2 businesses with different marketing agencies. So that's more B2B facing. Mm-hmm. And then I also run a coaching business, and both have pages here on LinkedIn. Coaching business, coaching women in terms of developing their personal brands and their business brands for growth. I launched the coaching newsletter. Now it looks like I'm only a coach and I'm not a marketing expert who runs a marketing agency for the past 20 years. How do I make sure that I elevate the profile of me being an expert marketer as well without confusing people that are connected to me on LinkedIn?
For me, this is a simple solution. All I would do if I were you on your personal profile is launch a second newsletter and only share valuable information, marketing strategies for B2B, and also share the case studies of your B2B clients and share the results that they've had, what you've helped them with, so on and so forth. And it shouldn't be confusing because remember, if they're not B2B or interested in that, they shouldn't subscribe. And so the newsletters and the emails that they'll receive in their inbox are only to that segmented audience. So that's how I would do it if I were you. And it should not cause confusion because you should, through the title of your newsletter, get the right audience to subscribe from the start. But this was a great session with amazing questions. We appreciate every single one of you. I'll also let Shankar and Kizzy just say some final words. Shankar.
Yeah, thank you all for your time to join us today. If I would just be really happy if you heard something that you are curious and you want to try something new. You heard lots of people say, I tried this and it worked. So your chances of succeeding if you try something new today are probably very high.
Yeah.
I would just also like to add that it's way easier than what you think. It may seem daunting. It may seem that you're not the person to do it, or why should I put myself out on LinkedIn or YouTube? And I promise you, you're going to have an experience that you never expected because you're providing value through whatever it is that you do and that you offer. So just take that first step. And the next time we have one of these rooms, I look forward to hearing how that worked for you.
And going back to what Kizzy was saying, just to give you some words of inspiration, it's really what you do every single day. And whatever kind of excuses are in your head of, oh, I can't start because I need a script, or, oh, I can't start because I need the fancy camera and the fancy lights. What's funny is that when you really start to do this, sometimes the most ghetto videos become the most viral, the ones you least expect, because you're just mastering that creative process. And it's really about doing what you can with what you have today, and then stacking those wins every single day. Because the last thing that you want to be is that business owner that puts their head on the pillow and says, wow, I know I could have done a lot more today. And there is no guarantee of success in any business. This is a risk no matter what. It is the spring. What you do today will determine the type of fall and winter that you experience. So I just want you to think about, what do you want Q3 and Q4 to feel like? Do you want it to feel like you're getting inbound clients effortlessly? Or do you want it to feel like a treacherous battle where you don't even know if you're going to be able to have the money to buy a Christmas tree or Christmas gifts for your children? What you do in the spring will determine the type of fall and winter that you have. And that goes from the clients that you call, the clients that you post, the videos that you post, and it's not easy. But if it were easy, everyone would be doing it and every single business would be successful. And that's not the case. So that's all I'll say before closing. I'll let Shankar and Kizzy add one more thing, and then we'll close for today.
I'll just add quickly, just don't give up. You just don't give up. That even if you go live and there's one person, the next time you go live, there'll be 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 people on LinkedIn or YouTube or other platforms. Just don't give up. And it's going to happen fast. And you're going to have amazing results.
Yes, I'm going to piggyback on that. It's going to happen fast, and it's going to happen in ways that you could just not have planned, other than get started, don't give up, and a decade will pass. Several months will pass, I should say, and you will have achieved things that you never thought possible. And yeah, that's it for today.
God bless you. Have a phenomenal day. And like Kizzy always says, everything is possible and you're amazing. God bless you. Ciao.